everyone, and welcome to Stampin' Chat Live. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. So today we're going to have fun. I could take these out now. Today we're going to have fun because we are going to be making a bit of a shadow box kind of card. This is called an easy stand-up shadow box card. Now, this is not new. In fact, the very first time that I made a shadow box card like this, it was back in my Stampin' Up demonstrator days. So over 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago. And I was at a Stampin' Up convention, and this was one of the projects that we did. It was really fun, and I've seen it done a million times by a million creators, but I've never done one here on my channel. So I thought it was the perfect day to do one. And I'm going to show you two different ways to do it, because one of the things that I don't love about shadow box cards is that they don't open. Right? They kind of, I don't know, they stand up really cute, but you have to write your message on the back. And some of you may not mind that. So I'm going to show you how to do that one. But I also want to show you another way that something else that you can do to that, and a different way to do a shadow box card too. So I'm going to show you a couple different things today. And this way you still get to have this cool shadow box card, but it will also open and you can write a message on the inside. So did I stamp on my shirt? No, this is my new Costco shirt. I went to Costco and got this shirt, and this is all embroidered. It's pretty nice for Costco. I mean, Costco has pretty good things. I needed some summer clothes because the heat we have here in Wisconsin right now is crazy. I'm sure it's hot all over the place. So normally this is the time where I say, before we get started, let's say hello to Tom, but Tom isn't here. He had a meeting this morning and he's not back yet, but he's on his way. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be here somewhere in the middle of the broadcast. He'll jump in and then we'll get a word of the day from him. So he will be here. But since I already had the box over here, I told him, don't worry about it. Get here when you can get here. And if he doesn't get here in time, that's okay. We know we can do it, right? I can do it with your help. All right, so let's get started right away. Now, I'm going to use a big paper cutter for this. This is my tonic paper cutter. Let me zoom in a little bit here on my paper cutter, and let me get this view. Okay, so I don't want to zoom in. I want to zoom out. I know, I might be solo again, but I think he's going to be here in plenty of time. He was supposed to be leaving where he was at like 11:30, and he was supposed to just be like an hour away, so hopefully he'll be here in time. I do have a lot to show you today, so we may go a little longer than an hour, so that would be fun. Okay, now I do want to tell you that I created a template for this fancy fold, so you don't have to remember to write down everything, and you don't have to remember what I'm doing. If you want to follow along, just follow along. But if you don't remember, after the video is over, I'm going to upload that template onto our blog. So if you go to ginakdesigns.com and then you hit the blog tab, you'll see templates and charts. Click on that. I'll put a picture of what I make, and then I'll put the template. There's also a QR code on our templates. So this way, if you do want to refer back to the video, all you have to do is hold your phone up to that QR code and it'll take you right to the link of this video today. So it's all good. And I just see Brianne Loveland in the chat. Brianne, thank you so much for being here. Brianne is always here for us, and she's linking all the products that I'm using today. So if you're looking for anything I'm using, you can find it in the link. And Brianne, I'll tell you, I'm going to be using our card kit today. So that's an easy one, right? All right, so we're going to start with, first I'm going to take this piece of white cardstock and I'm going to cut it in half. So this is a piece of cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5. And then on this 8.5 inch side, I am going to cut it down to 6.25. So let's do that, 6.25 inches here. This should be about 6.25. It's funny, the one measurement that I need is not available on this. So here we go. And then I can check that with my scoreboard to make sure that that's 6 1/4. I think it's going to be 6 1/4. I can't really tell here, but if I had a bigger scoreboard, I'd be able to. All right, so this is our 6 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece, and we're going to need a second one that's 6 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now I'm going to do that in a completely different color. So let me see what I have here. And oh my goodness, look what the wind blew in. Hey, Tom. Tom just got here. Oh, he must have flown home. So he is back from his meeting, and he will be in the dead space in just a couple minutes. I just need to find a piece of cardstock here because I don't have the one I want. All right, so here's some turquoise sea cardstock, and I'm going to cut this one down to 5 1/2 inches.
Did I miss the Chatterbox card?
How are you?
I'm glad to be here.
Glad you're here. Glad you made it. Oh, we're doing a Shadowbox card.
Shadowbox.
Not a Chatterbox card.
Chatterbox. I was interested in that. Boy, that would have sounded interesting.
A Chatterbox card.
Cacchiarone.
It's great.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we are glad to have you here.
And I'll let you get right back at it.
All right.
Because you're doing such a great job.
Well, I'm doing my best. I can't say that Mercury in retrograde hasn't been wreaking havoc on a few things around here these days, but you know how Mercury in retrograde is all about communication. So I said I wasn't going to talk to anybody until Mercury in retrograde was over, but I do have to talk here, and computers communicate with the internet, and sometimes they don't do it well during Mercury in retrograde. All right, so I have two pieces here. I have a white one that is 6 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I have a turquoise one that's 6 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to score this at the 1/2 inch mark, like this, and at the 1 inch mark, like this. Then I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to score it at the 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to score it at the 1 inch mark. Okay, now that should give me a 4 1/4 in the center between those two by 5 1/2, which is the same size as an A2 card front. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing here on this white piece. Now I'm using layering weight cardstock for this, and I think that you know, if you can use some layering weight cardstock for some of this, like the white layering weight, it's good because this can be a little bit bulky, but it's okay. I always put a little extra postage anyway if I've got a lot of layers on my cards, but you know. Okay, so now I have those score lines in there too. I think you can see them a little bit over here. Now, what we're going to do is, for the white piece, we're going to fold it in toward the center and then back this way. All right? We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to fold this one in toward the center and then back. All right, so that's how it's going to look. Okay, and then I always take my score tool and like really flatten those score marks out just to have it lay a little bit flatter. Okay, so there we go. Now, for this one, the score marks are going in like this. I'm going to fold away and then forward. Okay, so like that. So if you want, as you score each one, as you fold each one, then you can use your score tool to just really press that out, especially on this thicker cardstock like this. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm scoring away from the front and then back on itself. Like that. Okay? And then we are going to glue these two pieces together to make a card that stands up by itself, and you're going to have your design behind this, and we're going to cut a shape into that so you can see the design behind it. And then when you want to put it into an envelope, you just press these sides together, and that becomes the size of an A2 card. So that's going to fit in your envelope, and then when you open it, it'll pop up like a little box, a little shadow box. And it's nice and deep. I mean, you've got a decent amount of space there. You've got a full inch opening, so it really pops up wide, okay? So now the link in the text from searching the channel on YouTube. I've never experienced anything like this. I've tried 2 different devices. Darcel, I'm not sure what's going on, but it looks like you're here, that you got here, so I'm glad you're here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to stamp on the front of this panel right here. So in order to do that, I don't want to stamp on these sides. All right, so I'm just going to take a little piece of masking magic. Find some masking magic here. But again, Mercury's in retrograde, so I don't know what's going on. Okay. So I'm going to just take a little piece of masking magic and just put it here, just to kind of hold that in place. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, just to kind of hold that in place. This way, when I go to stamp on this, these flaps aren't flapping as much, and I've got something that I can put some pressure on. It's not going to hold great because masking magic is a low-tack tape, but at least it's kind of keeping it where I need it to be. Okay, so I'm going to use the Chalet background stamp. Okay? All right. And let's see here. I have another one in here. I don't know why I have 2, but this is the one that's used. Now, I don't want this Chalet background stamp to be super vibrant on this, but I just want to add a little bit of texture to the front of this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's see here, is this going to be big enough? Oh yeah, it will be. I just have to be very careful. I'm going to use sea glass for this. Now, I know sea glass is a little lighter than turquoise sea, but let's just see how it looks. What does it mean that Mercury's in retrograde? Mercury right now in the sky appears to be going backwards. And when it looks like that in the sky, if you look up through a telescope and you watch it compared to the other planets, it looks like it's going backwards. And when that happens, for some reason, it seems like people get into more arguments, people misunderstand each other, electronic devices go haywire. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens when Mercury is in retrograde. Okay, so now I've got this pretty well inked up here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press this down, and then I have to get right up on top of it here. I am going to lay that down onto this stamp. And then I'm going to just put this piece of masking magic on top. This is just a blank, just to have something. And I'm going to put pressure all over this, just so that I can get nice texture all over the surface of this piece of cardstock. This is just a used piece of masking magic backing, like the release paper stuff. And that should do it. Just throw that away. You can also use just a piece of plain cardstock. And so there we go. So I've got that nice texture on there. And I think that looks pretty. Even though the background stamp is just a little bit small for this, I still think it looks really good. Okay, now I'm going to clean this off. I know everybody's like, we can blame all the issues on Mercury. We always do, every time, several times a year. Fighting with your husband, Mercury in retrograde. Arguing with your son, Mercury in retrograde. You can't get on your computer, Mercury in retrograde. Okay, so now before we go on to the next space, and I did get a little ink on here, but I think that's going to be okay. We won't worry about that since that's the back of the card. Now what I want to do next is, I'm going to take these Masking Magic pieces off. I want to cut a hole in the center of this. So I'm going to use one of the stitched ovals dies, and I'm going to use the single stitched to cut the biggest hole in the center. Okay, so let me get my intricut. Alrighty. And this is going to be just, no, that'll work. Okay, I want to make sure it goes through. And I'm going to figure out where I want this on my card. Now I want it to be centered, so I'm going to put it right about there. And then I'm going to use some of that Masking Magic to tack it down to make sure it stays in place. It looks even, I think. Yeah, it looks even. Even enough. Better than horrible.
Okay, so I think we need a little explanation of the Mercury in retrograde reference.
Okay.
For all you astrology buffs out there. So if, you know, anybody that has fun playing around with astrology or even studies seriously, Mercury is the planet that supposedly governs communication, right?
Right.
And things that you communicate with, like computers and phones and electronic devices. And so when Mercury goes in retrograde, which means it looks like it's going backwards in the sky, it's supposed to make all those things go haywire. And communication, a lot of misunderstandings, and so we had a few people ask, "What do you mean by that?"
Oh.
And that's
what we mean.
That's the idea. So, you know, things do seem to go haywire when
They do. Okay, so you can see that that's pretty centered. I'll take that. So now I'm going to cut another panel, another piece that with the double stitched oval. And I'm going to cut a piece of black cardstock, because you know I have to have a little bit of black in here, right? I'm going to cut another piece of black cardstock. Since I'm not going to have a black perimeter around this card like I usually do, because I made it a full A2 size, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down to about 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So it's going to be like smaller on the inside here, like that. And I'm going to cut this smaller oval out of the center because I want to create a frame, because you know I need my little black layer on there, right? But since I won't get to have it around the outside, I'm going to put it on the inside of this oval. So by doing that, if you cut the big oval out of this piece, and then you cut the smaller oval, which is the double stitched, because we have two different sizes. We have our single stitched and our double stitched, but if you layer them together, you get that tiny shadow layer. But if you do them in reverse, you can do what I'm doing right now. So I cut the double stitched oval, and I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to lay it in here so it gives me that perfect little frame on the inside of that oval. You see that? That's pretty cool, huh? I love that. And it just jazzes it up a little bit for what we're going to put into the background. Okay, So let me get this out of the way. Now you can do this with just tape if you want, or you can do it with glue. Now some people prefer to do it with glue because there's wiggle room, and you know, we're trying to line this up and you can't really see it from this side, so you're going to be kind of lining it up this way, and the glue will give you some more wiggle room to do that. So let's do that. We'll use a little bit of Connect glue here. And I'm just going to put it all over here. Not real close though, because I don't want glue to get onto that part, because that's going to be showing through. But doing the ovals and the circles in reverse, rectangles too, we have rectangles and we have squares. Doing them in reverse like this really does create a neat little inner border, which is kind of nice. Okay, so I'm going to start by just eyeballing it a little bit here and see how close I can get it. And then because it's glue, I can shift it around a little bit to get it a little bit more perfect. And when I say perfect, I don't mean it has to be perfect, but that looks pretty good. If you look at that over white, that looks pretty good. So now that I'm happy with where that is, then I'm going to go ahead and really press down on the glue so that it has a chance to dry. And you don't have to worry about, you know, what this looks like on here, because you're not going to see it. Because remember, this is going to be put in up against this. And so you're not really going to see that black panel very much. But if you are worried about it, that's why I kind of cut it as evenly as I could, so that if you do see it a little bit, it's not like a cruddy piece of scrap cardstock. It's actually a piece that was cut to measure and kind of create a nice border in there. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to ink blend onto this piece. Okay, so I'm going to get my sticky mat and I'm going to just lay this out on my sticky mat here. And then I'm going to use the stencils that came in our new Sunny Days and Breezy Nights kit, and that is the Tropical Landscape. So let me find layer 1 and make sure they're all facing in the same direction. Okay, are they? No. There we go. So I'm going to start with layer 1 here. And I'm going to put that in right up against the top of this, like that. And then I'm going to have to tape it down because my piece of cardstock is bigger than my stencil. And I definitely want to keep this kind of flattened out so it's easier to stencil. And remember, we're not going to see all of it, but we're going to do it like we're going to see all of it, because if you're looking in at an angle, or, you know, we don't know exactly where it's going to line up and what we're going to do. So let's just try to do the whole panel. Okay, so we'll do that. And then down here, just try to make sure it's as straight as possible. Looks pretty good. Actually, I'm off a little bit. And it's a little harder to see because it's white on white. But let me just reposition that again, just so that it looks a little bit better. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we'll get that in place. Okay. So now my first color that I'm going to use, and I'm going to use my ink stand. So Brienne, you know what to do. I'm going to start with Sweet Mango because I'm going to make a sunset like I've done before. And I do want to make sure that I don't get anything on this little area right here because this is a mountain. It's a little light mountain. And I'm going to start with some Sweet Mango. And I'm going to do that just close to the edge of this mountain. So if you're worried about getting it on the sides here too, you can always put a little Post-it note piece there and a Post-it note piece there. This way it won't go over the edge. I don't think it's going to matter very much, but you know, if we want it to look perfect, just in case. All right, so I'm going to start here. I'm starting right on the stencil, and then I'm getting that nice fiery line of sun right along the edge here.
Beth said, hey, Tom, what do you call the process when Gina uses her bone folder? Flattery.
Very good. That's cute. Okay, so you see how we have this sunny glow, right? Looks like the sun just kind of like dipped down behind the mountain, but I'm using kind of a light hand as I drift up a little bit. Like that. Okay? Now, our next color is going to be Passionate Pink. We're going to add some hot pink in here. And let's see if I have a hot pink brush, and I do. Yep, it has hot pink on it. Let me clean my finger. I'm going to be very inky by the end of today, but it's all right. Now for this one, I'm going to start off the side a little bit, like over here, to kind of get rid of some of that. And then I'm going to work my way over, very, very light-handed, not stopping. Just don't stop. Whatever you do, don't stop. Just like that, just to get some of that pink in there. Okay. Now we're going to finish it off with some blues. We'll do a little bit of turquoise sea. And we'll kind of come in from the top here on the turquoise sea. Coming in this way from the top. And I know that looks really dark, but don't worry, because we're even going to get darker than that. We're going to go with a deep blue. And if you watched my video where I did the sunrise and sunset video, I'm using the same color palette pretty much that I used for the sunset card. And we're bringing that down into that pink. And when you bring it down into the pink, you get purple along that mix, right? Now, I know I'm taking a lot of time here making sure that this is right, and what's going to happen is a lot of this you're not even going to see, but that's okay. I just feel better knowing that it's right underneath, because anywhere that I want to move my front panel, it's going to look good. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of blue denim just along the top to kind of make the night sky creeping in behind that sunset. You kind of feel that darkness. And again, you're not even going to see this, but since we're here, we might as well show it.
I don't think we need a word of the day. They're flying in.
The word, really?
Stuart said, and what's it called when Gina figures out the measurements? Mathemagic.
It's great. Tom, you could go back.
Yeah.
Wherever you were, you could go back.
Tipping out.
All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and...
This group makes its own fun.
It really does. They are so much fun. We missed you here on Tuesday night, but again, they were like so supportive, and they always make me feel like I can do it even when you're not in the dead space, and I have to like try to be in the dead space and the live space, the bright space all at the same time. Okay, so I just cleaned that off with a little bit of alcohol because we're going to come back to this mountain, but for some reason I really like to go in order. So then we're going to do this next layer, and I'm going to put that next layer, I'm going to overlap just a tiny bit. You see that little bit of overlap there? You can kind of see the orange peeking out a little bit. That's just so that you don't see any white lines. All right. So we'll put that there and that there. And then again, I'm going to just protect right here from my overzealous inking. Now I'm going to use a gray. I don't know what's on this brush, but let's see. Let's just get a scrap piece of cardstock here. That'll work. So I'm going to use soft stone for this. Okay. And then I think I might use a little bit of Stormy Sky too, just to create a little bit of like 2-color dimension. And it'll also make the top of the mountain light up a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to start here. Again, I'm starting on the stencil here, and then I'm just letting the bristles of the brush trickle over the edge to start creating that mountain. I know it looks pretty pale here, but you'll be able to see it. Okay, let's get a little bit more on there. So I'm filling that all in. And then I'm going to come up from the bottom of that with a little bit of this Stormy Sky. So a little bit darker at the bottom here. And you see, I am getting gray on here because I wasn't thinking, but if you don't want any gray or any colors on the sides, then you definitely should block them off. Again, I don't think it's going to matter because all of that's going to be on the inside anyway. But if you're a little bit of a perfectionist and that would bother you, then you can go ahead and mask that off. I'm not too worried about it. So I'm getting a little darker down here. So that mountain looks a little bit lighter toward the top. Okay, so that looks pretty good. See how the mountain's kind of glowy at the top?
Wow.
It's fun, huh? Now, let's go ahead and clean this one. I just grabbed this right out of the trash. So it's got all the tape stuck to it. And then let's do the next mountain in warm cocoa. So again, we're going to overlap that slightly. And we'll do the same thing again. We'll use like warm cocoa, and then we'll come up from the bottom with a little bit of dark chocolate. Okay, so we'll start with warm cocoa. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're all here and that we can all have this fun time together. I'm going to start a new brush. My brown brush really needs to be cleaned. And I'll do that just by rubbing some alcohol on it, but I just don't feel like doing it right now, and I have this extra brush. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of a lighter hand, just trickling that warm cocoa over the edge. I'm going to come all the way down, all the way through. And then let's add some dark chocolate to this. Let me find that. Here we go. Some dark chocolate. Okay. Like I'm not already inky enough, but it's all right. I'm just going to do that. Okay, so we're going to come up with this darker brown.
And Sarah wants to know, will this stencil be available on its own?
Yes, it will. If we have any left, it will be available with our next release this month, later this month. If not, it will be reordered, and then it'll be available in the following release. And the reason why we don't reorder it right away is because we don't know how many kits are going to sell. You know, if we have a couple hundred left, we might not need to reorder it. But if we sell out, then we do have to reorder it. Okay. So there we go. Again, we've got a little bit of glow on the top of that mountain. And let me clean this up. Okay, and I'm just using rubbing alcohol to clean these stencils. And I always clean the front and the back just because things seep. See how you can kind of see how the alcohol just kind of seeps over. Okay, so we'll let that dry for a second. Now we're going to go back to layer 1 and we're going to add this little mountain on the side. Right here. This shouldn't take much, but we definitely have to protect our sky. And I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go light-handed with this brown again. A little bit of brown, light-handed. But then I'm going to mix in some of the gray that was on this brush. So we're going to kind of change the brown to like a brown gray. Just to create some separation between those two. See how that one has just a hint of gray in it? It's very subtle, but it's definitely different than this color. Enough that you can see the difference. And by going a little bit, you know, kind of starting at the top, you get that stronger line between them. So it really does look like a break between those. Okay. Now we got to do our water. So we're going to make the water darker near the back. And then we're going to make it lighter as it comes toward the shore. This stencil set is so fun. I've seen so many people do some really creative things with it too. It's really not lined up very well though. I could do better.
For those of you that didn't know, Gina did the shading for the Houses of the Holy album cover for Led Zeppelin. Google that.
I will Google that. I need to know what you're talking about. All right, let me get this brush put away, and then we're going to go back to that turquoise brush that we were using. And we'll start with some turquoise sea. And we'll go a little bit heavier handed back here.
Okay, question, are there, what would the light, medium, dark inks for the yellow family be?
Oh goodness, there's so many different combinations that would work for that. You could do marigold, wild dandelion, and lemon drop. You could do butterscotch. You could do honey mustard, butterscotch, and sweet corn. All right, so there we go. We've got a little bit heavier in the back and a little bit lighter as we went toward the front. But then what I'm going to do for the horizon there on the water is I'm going to add a little bit of blue denim. Now I don't even really have to add any ink to this brush. This is whatever was on there. but I'm going to add some of that in there just to darken it a little bit. It doesn't want to play nice. You see how that just gets darker back there? I think I will add a little bit more. Just so that it makes the water look like it's deeper out there. Okay, now let's pull this up. See how the water looks deep back there and it gets more shallow. And then the final one is going to be this one, and this is supposed to be the sand. Now, remember, guys, I'm going to be hiding a lot of this, but okay. Our brightest red ink is Red Hot. That has a hint of orange in it, so it really pops, so it's really bright. But our most Christmassy one, where it's like kind of doesn't have any orange but doesn't have any blue, is going to be Red Velvet. And then Cherry Red is going to have a little bit of a cherry bluish tint to it. So I guess for the Santa idea, I'd probably go with Red Velvet. All right, now I'm just going to use whatever brown is left on this brush. I'm just going to give it a really light hand. If you don't have enough brown on there, you could use a color like Craft or just real, like Warm Cocoa, real light-handed. But that'll just give us that little bit of sandy feel there. Alrighty. There we go. So now we have our whole card here. Let me pull this up just by rolling this mat. It's the best way to pull it up. Okay. So now I can fold that back up to see what that's going to look like, and we can see we've got a scene poking through that shadow box.
Wow.
And if you look at it from the top, you have the whole scene. If you look at it from the bottom, you have the whole scene. And if you're worried about this down here, just take your blending brush and go ahead and fill that in.
And again, when you use what's left on the brush from whenever, that is called residue.
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 And this way, if they happen to catch it from underneath, it'll go all the way to the bottom. Okay. Now, we're going to stamp some black silhouette stamping in there. So we're going to get the Misty. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay this out onto the Misty. And then I want to be able to see where this is going to, like what's going to show through. So when I lay my stamps down, I'm going to use this panel because no sense in stamping it like over here where you're not going to see it, right? So I'm going to use the Tropical Silhouette stamp set that comes in the kit. This one right here. And I want to add some of these palm trees coming through.
Your cards have gotten quite mystical with this set.
Mystical?
Mystical, yes. It's a mystical place, that is, looking at it through an oval.
Yeah. You want to go here, don't you?
It's another place I could relax there.
Okay. So now I'm going to put this right here. This is where I want it because I want it peeking through. Right, so I want to make sure that I can see that. So I'm just going to pick that up. And now I'll take this away. And I'm going to get some black onyx. Did I bring black over? I did. Yay. And we're going to go ahead and stamp this right there like that. Get my Chucky. I feel like this Misty is laying on something, or it has something attached to it. No, it doesn't. Okay. So that looks really good, right? And now, you know, we're going to be able to see it through there, right?
Wow.
It's going to be so pretty. So why don't we stamp a little bird in the sky? Let me clean this first and get this off of here. So I'm going to just place this back on here. I want to make sure that wherever I put this bird, you're going to actually see it. And I don't want it to get cut off. So I'll pick this bigger bird. And I'm going to make sure that this is lined up. There. And we'll just have this bigger bird just flying right here. We'll do it right there. I'll stamp that one. The blue paper is turquoise sea. Like that. You can see how that's going to look. Oh, I love it. Let's add one more bird. I don't think I'm going to need to measure this one. And should I be brave and use an acrylic block? Everybody's like, no, you should not. Right at the end too, right? But I was thinking of putting one like right here. Maybe I will look at where I'm stamping it. I think I'll stamp it right here. Okay, wish me luck. I know it's scary. There we go. Okay, so now we have two little birds. I feel like they travel in pairs a lot.
Stamp one on the blue.
On the blue?
Like it's coming through the window. Like it came through the window.
What?
Back to the dead space.
The dead space is a little livelier than usual. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this up here. And now we're going to rescore our lines. Like this. And like this. Now, we can add a greeting to the front of this that will float in front if we want. Like we could have a greeting coming in over here if we want. Or we don't have to, we can have the greeting go across the front. So if you want to float something on this, all you have to do, look at that, isn't that so cool? I love how that looks. That's so neat. Because it's so deep and like it's like three-dimensional, you know, you can see all around in there. It's really fun. Love that. I think we should just add a little greeting like right down here. Let's do it.
It's amazing. That's I've never seen any card like that.
I'm going to be brave. And I'm going to stamp wishing you a sunny day right along the bottom here. But I am doing it with the Misty, so don't worry.
That's not brave. That's crazy.
Wishing you a sunny day, or make every day a beach day. Which do you like better, Tom?
Wishing you a sunny day.
Okay. All right. Wishing you a sunny day.
Wishing you a mystical day.
I don't have that. Now, if you're nervous about it, you can always do this technique that we talk about a lot. Take your sheet from your stamp set and lay it on top, and then you can stamp it first to make sure you like where it's positioned and how it looks. You know, does that feel like it's a good spot? If it feels straight and it feels like it's a good spot, then you can just take your tidy towel and clean that up, and then remove your sheet. Now, if this doesn't stamp well, because there's a lot going on here and there's like some bumps and things, if it doesn't stamp well, what I'm going to do is stamp it again on white cardstock and die cut it, and then just pop it up right there.
Karen's pointing out that there's no sun in the picture, but it's still kind of a sunny day.
Yeah. It's still a sunny day.
Artistic license.
It's a sunset-y kind of day. Stamp it again. I think the W is heavy enough, so I'm going to go up to the W. There we go. Wishing you a sunny day. I'm not sure if I like that greeting there stamped that way. I'm not 100% sure, but let me see. Oh no, that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Wishing you a sunny day. I'm going to stamp it once on white and die cut it and see if I like it better. Sometimes I like it better when it's die cut. Stamp it one more time. Okay, I think I'm going to die cut it and see how it looks. So let's do that. And we'll give that a... Oh, you know what? No, because this set doesn't have dies. So we'll just leave it the way it is then. We'll just leave it right on there. I don't know that I would have liked that anyway, because I like that it doesn't... There's no white there. All right, so now we're going to assemble this card. So I'm going to do one side at a time. So I'm going to put glue down here. Right down here. Okay, and then I'm going to line this up together. So that it is perfect. Take my time. Okay. And then I'm going to do the other side. You don't have to try to do this all at once. I agree, the white would have taken away from the scene. It would have just been like right out there in the front. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing over here. Line that up. Glue is nice because it's forgiving. You can wiggle a little bit. Okay. Now let me grab an envelope. I want to grab an envelope out of my drawer. This is not the right color envelope, but we're not going to worry about that. I just want to show you how to put it in the envelope. So I would give that like a minute to dry. But you see that there it's an A2, and then when you open it, it will stand up just like that. And then you would write on the back. Now, I don't know if isn't that cool? I love that. It's so pretty.
Depth.
Yeah, very cool. It is calming. Now, when you're ready to put it in the envelope, this is just a wrong color, but you want to push in these tabs on the side, right? And then you're going to want to put it into the envelope so that it's folded closed like that. So just take your time and wiggle it into the envelope like that, and it will fit in your A2 envelope. But like I said, it is a little bit thicker, so you may want to put an extra postage stamp on there, or save this design for when you're handing somebody a card in person. And then when you pull it out of the envelope, it'll look like that. It'll stand up. And if you want it even wider, bigger, just tell them to tug on it, and that'll kind of straighten it out and make it even a little bit bigger. Now, this is also a great design for a photograph. So if you have a photograph, have the photograph printed on something that is a little bit bigger, like maybe get a 5x7 photo that you can trim down so it fits perfectly in there. And you can make something like this as a card for somebody. Maybe it's a baby picture, you know, you want to send it to grandma, or you want to send, you want to make this your holiday card. And it could be your family at Christmas with a Merry Christmas greeting down here. What's nice about this is, can you go? Oh, I can go to the front shot. What's nice about this is it sits up so nicely on the shelf, and it's got so much depth and dimension because of how far in it goes. You know, you can really see
Wow.
how far in that goes. So that's one way to do it, and it will stand up by itself. However, the one thing I don't like about this kind of card is the fact that you can't write on the inside. So what I do, this is my little difference that I do that most people don't do, but I like it. I cut a piece of cardstock, and you know what? Do I have any? Oh, I do. I have a turquoise one here all cut already. All right, so I've got a turquoise piece of cardstock here that's cut to 4 1/4 by 11. And so what you can do is, I mean, at this point you're already putting the extra stamp on, so who cares if it's just a little bit thicker? Score this at 5 1/2, and then pop this onto the back of the card like this. So I'll use a little bit of tape for this. Like this. And then we're just going to put that right onto this piece here. All right. So now you can open that and you can write on the inside. And then it will sit up a little bit different than it does when it's like, here, let's go to this shot again here. So this is going to sit up a little bit more like, it's going to be angled a little bit when it's sitting up, right? Just like a tent-fold card. So when you see it sitting, it's going to sit, let me try doing it this way. It's going to sit more like this.
Wow.
So if you want to do that background, then you don't have to write on the back. Because to me, it's like, if I gave this card to my mother, she'd have a stroke because she didn't like a top fold card because she couldn't figure out how to open it. So at least this would give her the ability to like kind of grab the front and say, oh, here it is. It opens this way. And then as you open it, because you finished that whole card, that whole background, you see everything in there. It looks all finished. And a side fold card would work too. Yep, you could definitely do a side fold card if you want. I would mail that card in an A2 envelope the same way, but I would put 2 stamps on it and I would write on the front, please hand cancel. Just because I wouldn't want it to go through a machine because it is thicker. All right, so that is our first one here. Now, I want to show you another one. Let me show you another one. Let's go back to that white cardstock. So we're going to cut another piece of cardstock here. I know this is going to go a little long today. I already told them, Tom, that I was going to go long today. And we're going to cut this at 5.5 so that we've got 2 half sheets of cardstock. And then we're going to turn this and we're going to cut it to the 6.25 inches. Same thing. And for those of you who are recently just jumped in here on the live, I have a template that I'm going to be uploading with the measurements and the score lines, so you don't have to write any of this down. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to, let's see, what trick could you do so it doesn't slide from the back? Oh, I lost that comment, from the back and fall down. Oh, well, you know, it really depends on the surface that somebody puts it on. I mean, if you put it on a really slippery surface, it's going to slip. But like if you put it on wood, it's not as bad. This is a really slippery countertop, and this is that IKEA furniture that's super slippery. But I mean, most people will just kind of like bump it up against something like that. They'll just put it up against something if it starts slipping. Or if you don't mind, you know, you could actually, here's another thing that you can do, all right? Here's another trick. If you don't like this sliding thing where it's like sliding like this, do this. Cut the bottom off a little bit, okay? Take a little bit of the bottom off, like about that much off the bottom, okay? Now, they can open this. You can write in here, but you can still have it sit up like this. I have to score that better. That's part of the problem. I didn't score that very well. And I think you could still stand it up like this, although it is a little bit heavy. All right, don't do that. Don't do that. It'll still stand, but like you have to put it on something like that.
You need little rubber feet that clip on to the
You have
back
to put
piece.
it on something like that's a little bit not so slippery. Yeah, you could put something. Yeah, definitely. I like that. A bottle of nail polish behind it. I love that. Okay. So now let's go back to this one again. So we're going to score this at the 1/2 inch mark. Okay. And then we're going to score it at the 1 inch mark. How many words of the day did we have so far, Tom?
We're full of it.
And then I flipped it and I'm scoring it again at the 1/2 inch mark and the 1 inch mark. Okay, now this should give me, in between these two score lines, it should give me the 4.25 by 5.5. But instead of doing this back-to-back thing where it's real thick, if you don't like a thick shadow box, here's an alternative way to do it. So I'm going to first, before I do anything with this, I'm going to cut another white piece. And I'm going to cut this one at 4.25 by 11 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to score this at the 5.5 inch mark. And fold it. Okay. So this is going to be my standard note card, scored at the top, so it's the tent fold. Now, for this one, I'm going to, I'll use that chalet stamp again. I might as well use all the same things. And we're just going to make this a completely different kind of card, but let me find the chalet. So we're going to stamp the chalet background onto this note card. And we're going to do that with some soft stone ink. So we're going to make it super super pale. And here's another little trick. Sometimes it's scary to like be stamping and this is moving all around. So if that's the case, you can just use your MISTI and you can just lay the background stamp onto the MISTI and at least hold it in place for you. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Just put it in the MISTI without taking this sheet off. It's kind of a pain to take these sheets off and you really don't need to, but if that's bothering you, you can put it right on your grip mat and then that'll hold it in place while you stamp, but I think I'll be okay. All right. So I'm going to use soft stone for this. Again, just a light pattern that's just going to blend into the background. And I know it seems like I'm putting a ton of ink on this, but it's just because soft stone's such a light color, I can't see it. So I want to make sure that I have it all on there really well. Okay. And now I'm going to take my note card and I'm going to try to line this up the best that I can. Excuse my head in the way. I'm just going to put that there like that and like that. You can see I got it on me, but I'll just take another little piece of cardstock here and I will just rub that all over. You should use scrap paper for this, not a brand new piece of cardstock, but I wasn't planning, so I didn't have any like copy paper or something. Okay. So now we're just going to peel that off. And we've got a nice little background there with a little goober that I must have had on my stamp. But I won't worry about the goober. The goober's not that bad. And then let me clean this before we put this away. Okay. I left my tidy towel thing open for a little bit earlier and my tidy towels are a little dry. I need to run them under water, rinse them. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this aside, and then I am going to cut an oval into the front of this. Now, you could also use an embossing folder on this if you want. If you wanted to add a little bit of texture, you could stamp that chalet stamp again on here if you want, or a different stamp if you want. Let's see, do I have any embossing folders in here? I don't think that I do. Let me see what I do have. See if I have anything. I have some other things. Ooh, you know what I could do? Just to kind of give it a little texture. I could do a little stenciling over it. Ooh, I know. Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna change this idea, okay? I'm gonna change this idea. Instead of using that card base, I'm gonna change my idea. I'm gonna score another card base here, and we are entitled to change our minds. That's the beauty of crafting. Just because you're in it and you're like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like what I did. Change it. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to lay this onto my sticky mat and I'm going to do some clouds back here. Because then when I cut my window, it's going to look like a cloud background, which I always think is pretty behind a window.
Do we have a release date yet?
No.
No.
We just don't. We've got some supply chain issues. And I do want you to know, too, that we are making some big changes here at Gina K Designs with our warehouse and kind of the way we're shipping and everything. We've got a lot of changes going on. So if you notice that there's a bunch of things out of stock right now, some of them aren't completely out of stock, but we're moving things around the warehouse. And so we don't know where everything is. So we pulled a few things out of stock. Give us about 10 days to get all of this up and running because we're trying to make this better for you. And I feel like we've got a great plan, but we have to execute it, and it's not something that we can just do overnight. So hang in there with us, and we promise within the next month everything will be back in stock and things are going to be moving a lot more quickly. All right, so I'm going to use sea glass instead, and I'm going to add this little cloud pattern. And I'm using the Sea, Sun, and Sky stencil here. Okay. And I shift it as I go so it doesn't look exactly the same everywhere. Yes, it's only paper, exactly. And I can use that card base. It's not like I ruined a card base. I'll just use it for something else. And even if I don't want to use the whole thing as a card base, I can cut that chalet pattern off and use just that as some pattern paper. But I think this will look very pretty. And then somebody told me with the Cherry Blossom stamp set, they said that I stenciled it wrong, that I should have made the little edges on those flowers lighter than darker. So I'm going to try that today because I think they're onto something. So you can see I'm just doing my little cloud thing. I don't even really need to ink up this brush very much because there's enough ink on here that I can just like grab it from the stencil and work it up. And then I think what I'll do is I'll just add a little bit down here to the front and a little bit up here along the top. And I think that's good. That looks good. Okay. Now, if I want to add something to the front, I feel like the chalet might be too much. So I would send Tom out to get what I think I should use, but I don't know if he's going to be able to find it. So do you have a word of the day, Tom?
I have several words of the day.
So can I turn it over to you? I don't know how to bring both of us in. Oh, here we go. Can I turn it over to you, and will you do your word of the day so I can go grab the stamp I want?
Of course.
Okay.
You right. Go, girl.
I will, in the meantime, for the overhead shot, I'll just leave that there.
Okay. All right.
View.
All right. I don't know if I have the music, but let's see here. Yeah.
Word of the day, oh hey, hooray, let's laugh it up, don't delay. Word of the day, it's here to stay.
Okay, words of the day. So I actually have a good, the theme today seems to be oval. Ovals and the power of the oval. So I would name that card. You know what I would name that card? That card is like a bridge oval troubled waters. Bridge oval troubled waters. And what do you call an adolescent oval? An Ovaltine.
Oh, no.
Of course. I am head over heels in love with these cards. They are oval to top.
Oh, my gosh.
Your cup runneth oval.
Oh, no. I could have totally left and gone to lunch.
Am I oval doing it? Quickly back to the dead space we go.
There you go. I helped. Okay. All right. Well.
She doesn't know where the boo button is.
Oh, I do. There's a boo. There we go. Can you hear it? Do I have to hit it again, though?
You do.
Okay.
You're going to get booed.
All right. So I decided that I want to use the sweater background. Now, I know that this is kind of a summery card, but I think it's okay because in the summer, sometimes you need a light sweater, right? So I am going to make this a sweater background. And before I do this, I'm going to fold this back like this. And I'm going to fold this back like this. And once again, I'm going to use some masking magic to hold that in place. Those were very good words of the day. They were so appropriate, Tom. Very good. Okay, now I'm going to use soft stone for this again because I need a sweater all the time too. I totally agree. People are out there sweating and I'm sitting in the warehouse with everybody and I've got a sweatshirt on and they're like, it is 95 degrees. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's a little chilly. I'm not even on blood thinners yet. All right. So I can imagine. But I do understand my dad was always cold. And I'm kind of understanding as I get older that is definitely a thing. Okay. First you start getting really hot, right? And then you get cold. All right, so I'm going to add this to the front, and sorry if my head gets in the way here, but I want to try to line it up so I get it all over. And oh, I lost my, here it is. Here it is. This was my icky piece. And I'm just going to make a gray on my nails. This is why sometimes it's not even worth doing your nails, you know? It's like, I'm only going to get ink all over me anyway. I like to do them, but I just don't make it a priority, and I probably should since my hands are on camera, but hopefully you guys don't mind. Okay, so now we've got that nice sweater pattern on here. Now, if, for example, let's say you think, you know, it's a little too much, or if you have a little white edge, I kind of nailed it though, because the white edge on the top and the bottom makes it look like a frame, and I think I'm going to leave it. But if you want, you could trim this down just a little bit on the top and the bottom, and then you could trim your card base to match. So if you want to see that, I'll show you how to do that. Why don't I just do that? Okay. So what you'll do is you'll just take your paper cutter and you'll just slide it in just a little bit over the edge and trim that off. And then flip it and do the same thing. Okay, and then to make your card base match, all you have to do is just line them up here like this and just stick that in there. Press up against the end of this part and then just cut the edges off, and now that'll all line up. It's all going to be the same size. Front and card base. Okay. Now, we're going to cut an oval. Surprise! Tom, you and your ovals over there. We're going to cut an oval out of the center of this one, too. And, again, we're going to just eyeball it. And we're going to cut the bigger of the two ovals, which is the single stitched. Let me zoom out a little bit here because I want you to be able to see. There we go. I'll zoom back in a little bit. But we want to be able to see where we're cutting. That looks pretty even. Even enough, good enough, better than horrible. Maybe a little over this way. Okay. That looks good. We'll just tape this down and we'll cut. I think it'll be good. Tracy. I think Gina's going a little bit oval the top. Here we go. Everybody's on board with you, Tom.
Everybody's bored with me?
No, they're on board with you. All right, so that looks pretty good. That looks pretty centered. And now we're going to do the same thing again with a black panel. I'm going to trim a black panel down. I'll just do it off to the side here. I'm going to trim this down to like 3 3/4 of an inch by 5, close to 5. Because that I'll make sure. Now, I want to make sure that that's going to look pretty even on the back here. It looks pretty good. So if you see it at all on the back, it'll look good. All right, so I'm going to cut my second oval out. And that's the double stitched oval. And I'm going to center that the best that I can. Don't worry about measuring. That's overrated. And it's, I mean, you know, people always look at things as a whole, right? They look at the whole card. And so if something's a little crooked or something's a little off, they're looking at it with fresh eyes. They're taking it all in at once. I wouldn't overly worry, overly worry about something that's just a tiny little bit off. Unless you can't take it. If you can't stand it, then...
No architectural firms in our family, are there?
No. Okay, and then once again, we're going to do this so that we get that nice black little frame going around there. So let me zoom in again. That's right, it's oval rated. I love that. We're fine. We're fine. We'll be fine. Okay. Always with thicker cardstock too, I just run my nail, but be careful you don't give yourself a paper cut. But I run my nail around some of these die cuts, especially some of these dies were the very first dies that we ever released. I don't know which way I want it. I think I want it this way. And I've used them so much that I think over time I've dulled the blade. All right. So let's go ahead and add glue to this. You don't need a lot of glue. If you ever are using your glue and you find that your paper is warping, it's probably because you have too much glue. Can you see how like skinny those lines are? I'm not using a ton, and you don't need to. All right, now I'm going to line this up the best that I can, and then once I get it in place, I'll still have some wiggle time. So I can just wiggle it, take my time. It's not a race. And I'll get it the best that I can here. Let me pull it up again here. I think this is going to be all right. Let's pull it up at the bottom. Sometimes I think maybe it is better to use the tape, but we got it. That's pretty good. And then this is just my little shrapnel pieces from that die cut. Here we go. Looks pretty good. Better than horrible. What's nice about adding this oval in here is it makes this a little bit more sturdy too, because you have a big gaping hole in the center of your card. And by having a second piece of cardstock back here, it just makes it a little bit sturdier. Okay, so now we've got this piece going in, and then we're going to have this piece going out. This piece going in and this side going out. And where is my little score tool here? Okay. So now this is going to give us a much different kind of look. So we're going to attach this to here and this to here right on our card base. So now we don't have as deep of a pocket as we did on this one, because this is too deep, right? Not too deep, but it's too deep. And this one, actually, without this card base on here, which I can peel off or I can cut off. I think I'll just cut it off here just because it's making it a little bit weird, like heavy on the one side. So I'm going to cut it off just so that I can stand it up the other way. Just do that over here with my scissors. So this will stand up this way. This one won't stand up by itself, but it will stand up like a regular folded card. So this is another way, a different way to do a shadow box where you have a more shallow box and it's automatically has a card base on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to wait on putting this together because I'm going to stamp a few little flowers here. So I'm going to try the cherry blossoms from the kit. Everything that I'm using today, other than the background stamps and the stencil, are from the Sunny Days and Breezy Nights card kit. So I'm going to do a couple of these cherry blossom flowers and leaves. So let me find a piece of cardstock. I've been dropping cardstock. It's like flying all over the place. You could probably hear it hitting the ground. I'll hold this in place. So we'll go ahead and stamp a few of these images. Now, I'm going to put this piece of cardstock up here in this top corner. And I'm going to stamp these with a soft ink, like Craft. And then I'm going to go back and stamp them again with the black ink afterwards. I think that's good. Yeah, I think I'll just use those for now. There we go. Now, once I have these in place, I'm not going to move them. They're going to stay here, and as long as this piece is in this top corner, I can go back and re-stamp with black after I've ink blended. What's nice about that is Craft ink is pretty, it's a pretty light color. You can still see to do your stenciling, but it's a light color and it's not going to gray up any of your colors. So I just need this to stamp so that I can see it, so I can stencil it. Good enough. Now, I can stencil right in here if I want. I don't even have to move anything, which might be nice. And let me find the coloring stencil for this, which was in this pile over here. Here it is. Now, like I said, somebody told me in my last card that I made this card for you guys. Somebody told me that I should have reversed the colors. I should have done the flowers in pink and these little edges in, like I should have used this darker pink for the flowers and then the lighter pink around the edges to make it look like those edges were highlighted. So I'm going to try that, Tom. What do you think?
Yes.
You think it's going to work?
Yes.
Okay. So the colors that I used on that card were the carnations. So I'm going to use those again. I'm going to use the light carnation and I'm going to use the medium carnation, but I'm going to do the insides with the darker, so the medium carnation. So I do appreciate the tips and the hints that you guys share too. It's always fun to have those. I had a brush dedicated to this color. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to start with the edges because I want to do the light color first. So let's start with the edges here. Do I have it backwards? I do. And don't worry, you can move this, and I am going to move it because it's not easy to get to. So I'm going to just move it over here so that I can stencil it better, and then I can put it back. So let's go ahead and do the light color here. Oh, the dark, oh, I need the light color. The light carnation. The reason I'm starting with the light colors is because I don't want to get dark color on this brush, and I'm going to use the same brush, so I really want the light to be light. So here we go, a little bit of light carnation. Did I even stencil in the lines? I moved this stencil, it's okay. Okay, so we've got the light there on the outside. Just make sure I get in the lines. Did I tell you guys we got a stroller for Zeus, for our cat? And Tom and I took him downtown and walked him all around the city, and he loved it. That was very fun. So yeah, we're those people now. All right, so I've got the light there, and I think I'll do the light in the center on this one. Okay, so now we're going to go with the darker one. It's very fun. He's very cute. And now, let's see. Which one? Oh, it's this one here. Oh no, see, there's the problem though. It's going to go all the way to the edge, and then the darker color is just going to go on the outside. So I'm going to try to just go heavy in the center. Let's see how this looks. See what I can do. I'm going to go heavy in the center. And then let it get a little bit lighter as it goes toward the outside. How's that look, Tom?
I think it looks good.
It's not what she said because it's actually not a separate piece there, so, but it's okay. I still kind of feel like that's a lighter color.
I had a suggestion to use a smaller brush.
Yeah, I could do that, but it's still going to go to that, to go over the edge a little bit. So this one will work. That one will work. Okay, well, you know, I like it. We're gonna go with it. I think it's going to change a lot too when I get that green, that black on top. Okay, so greens. Let's go ahead and use jelly bean. We'll use some jelly bean here for the first wave. And then we'll add a little fresh asparagus just around the edges. So, do I have a jelly bean brush? I do. We'll do a little jelly bean here. And then I'm going to hold this, get my fresh asparagus. I do have 2 ink stands, but I have absolutely no room left on my desk right now. And then I'm going to just add a little bit of that fresh asparagus down here toward the bottom. Just come up into this. just to give it a two-tone kind of thing, like that. Beautiful. I'm okay with whatever. I think that even if things don't look realistic, like I wasn't too upset with the way that those flowers looked in the other card, but when that viewer made that suggestion, I thought, oh yeah, that would be cool. I should do that. But I didn't realize that the first layer is the whole flower, and then you're meant to add the darkness around the outside. So live and learn. Okay. I'm not even re-inking my jelly bean green brush because I have enough ink on there. And then we'll just add that little bit of fresh asparagus in there. Okay. And then we'll just add this. I think we could do jelly bean. And then a little asparagus right under there. Okay, I think they look good. We'll see how they stamp when I stamp them with black. Yeah, the shadow box cards are fun. They are just, they're different, and they've been around forever, so it's not really a new technique, but I think having them stand up with a card base might be a little new. I haven't seen anybody do that. All right, now I'm going to add that black on top, so wish me luck. I'm going to do a couple at a time here. Oh yeah, that looks good. It does have a nice pop to it. Yes, they're beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to die cut these, and we're going to stamp a greeting. So let me clean this up real quick, and we'll pick a greeting. Now you can float things by using acetate across the center if you want. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pop things up inside this shadow box. I'm going to pop them up with foam squares because you can do that too. And that's pretty easy. And if you don't have acetate, you can still make this today. Because I know every single one of you has some foam tape or foam squares in your stash right now. And if not, you got to get some. Because that dimension is so pretty. Okay, so we'll cut these out quickly. I figure we're going into the weekend, so we ought to have a couple new techniques. We've done a lot of techniques this week, over the last 2 weeks, and got to have some fun new techniques for the weekend, to go into the weekend. Let me grab my magnetic plates. I don't really have to tape stuff down as much with these. Sometimes I get nervous though, and I still tape them down, but these are a little bit... Okay. Let's see which one is which here. It's this one. I still like to do them one at a time too. I feel like I have a little bit more control when I do them one at a time. Yeah, the black just adds it, right? No, we're not having a sale this weekend. We're in the middle of a big warehouse thing, and so no, we're not going to do that this weekend, unfortunately. But there'll be more sales coming in the future. Okay. There we go. Just a couple more. And then I think I'm going to use, oh gosh, you know, so many of these techniques, a lot of them I've done before on my channel. Sometimes I'll go back. I tend to go back and rewatch my old videos and see what I can add to a technique that I already taught in the past and how we can change it up and turn it into something new and fresh. And as long as I've been doing videos for a really long time, just, I don't know, it's close to 2 decades that I've been doing videos. So the thing that's cool about having a channel that has that many videos on it is you can go back and watch an old video and see the way you did a technique or the way you did something and realize that there's new tools that can add to that and you can do something fun and completely different. So I tend to be a rewatcher of my old videos, and but then every once in a while I will wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat because I had a dream about a technique, and if I don't wake up and write it down and then try it in the morning and make sure that it works, that happens a lot. I do dream about card making. Do you guys dream about card making? I definitely do. It's kind of funny too, like probably too because a lot of us probably do the same thing. We scroll on Instagram, you know, and we just see pretty cards and stuff, and then we go to sleep and card making is fresh in our minds, so that's what our brain wants to focus on. Not a terrible thing, actually. Okay, so let's find a greeting from this set. The feet are sticking. Let's find a little greeting here from this set. Let's do the birthday wishes, and then let's do, let me look at, I don't even know where my card went. It's on here. It's here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Let me just see if I look at this, any of these greetings. Let's do birthday wishes, bloom bright, it's your day. That'll be cute. We'll do that. So we'll do a combination of greetings. Birthday, can I get it out of here maybe? I might be able to. Yeah, I'll find a spot. We can cut that out of there. Let's do that one first. This card will come together really fast. I know I've been on a long time, and I know not everybody has time to watch super long videos. But I appreciate those of you that are hanging in there with me, because I know it's long, and it's longer than I usually go. All right, and let's do this one. Bloom bright, it's your day. And we'll die cut these. Oh, that looks good. Bloom bright, it's your day. You know what? Doesn't look that good. I thought it looked good. It doesn't look as great as I would like it to. I'm going to do it one more time up here. It did transfer a little, so we'll see if we can get it crisp. Trying to decide which one to use. If you ever have like a letter that's darker than the others and you want to stamp the rest but you don't want to stamp that, just wipe the ink off before you stamp it. I feel like the B was fine, but the rest of them didn't stamp as bright as I wanted them to, so there's the B on my finger. I don't know which one I like. I think I like this one better. We'll go with that one. Okay. Now, get those over there. be a big cleanup day for me in here. I have ink everywhere. I wish you could see my view because it's such a mess. But it's also, it's kind of funny. Okay, so we'll cut the birthday wishes and the Bloom Bright, It's Your Day. Look what I did. I overstamped that. Seriously? All right, I'm gonna have to do this with a block. I'm not getting the Misty again. I'm just going for it. I'm going for it with a block. Wish me luck. I'm doing it right here so you guys can see. You can see the pain off to the side here. Good. I'll do it one more time just for safekeeping. Okay. Now I got a bunch of them. I can cut them all out later. Let me find the die for this. That one, I like the bottom one. The last one, the last minute save. The Audible. Every once in a while, I have a period of time where I stamp better with an acrylic block than I do with the Misty. Don't ask me what's wrong with me and why that happens. Maybe it's mercury. We're just going to blame mercury for everything. Okay, Bloom Bright, It's Your Day. I think it's this one. It's not. It must be this one. There it is. Okay. Bloom Bright, It's Your Day. There we go. We have a bunch of people off this week too because of the holiday. We have one of our staff members, his daughter's getting married this weekend, and so we don't have a lot of staff here today. It's kind of quiet. Alrighty, now we're going to assemble this card. So let me find the card. Here it is, the shadow box. Now, we can, if you wanted to put this onto a piece of acetate, you could cut a thin piece of acetate going across, and you could position this. I think I do have some acetate here. Maybe. Let's see. If I do, I'll show you, because it's pretty easy to do. I use these clear toner sheets for my acetate. It's great acetate. It's by Thermoweb. And so then you can kind of build a little. You can also print on a laser printer on these and foil them. That's why I like them so much. They're heat resistant. You can emboss on them. A lot of cool ways to use them. So I'm going to cut this in half just to have a half sheet here. So this is an old technique where you can just take a piece of acetate because it's clear, and you can cut a thin piece. I'll cut it like 1/4 of an inch. And then you can tape that acetate over the back, and then you can glue things to that acetate like the greeting. So before I do that, I want to see what my card layout will look like. So I want to make sure that I'm going to like the layout before I commit. And I might cut that acetate a little bit thicker. So I think what I want to do is I want these to be on the inside, and I'm going to pop them all up. So we'll do a little roundy kind of semicircle, but they'll all be popped up. So they'll be popped up a little bit, and then the extra, we could put that on the acetate there. We can actually put both of them on the acetate if I cut it thick enough, and that will float across.
Sandra wants to know, did you say whether those acetate sheets can be used for heat embossing?
Yes, they can. They definitely can. All right, so I'm going to just slide this in just a little bit more, and this is the layout that we're going to do, but we're going to pop all of this up on the inside. So I'm going to use some foam squares. Do I have any sheets for the rule of thirds? No, I don't think I do. I don't think I do. I tend to have a lot of layout information. Oh, I'm actually going to put foam squares on these too. I actually have a lot of card layout information in my master layout series. That's kind of where I focused a lot of my layout stuff. I think Kathy Zilski has some rule of thirds stuff. You could probably check her site and see what she's got on her blog. Okay, so let's pop these up. I'm popping everything up on here. So we'll pop. We can double pop the flowers if we want to. So those are popped up. Keeping everything kind of where it is. But I want the ability to move it around a little bit if it's not perfectly centered. So I'm not putting a ton of pressure on these foam squares yet, just in case I have to pick one up. So let's take a look at that. Oh, that's going to be pretty. Okay. All right. This is working. Now for my stem, I'll put a little one here, like right here. And I could double pop the big flowers. I'll be doing the ML21 video sometime this summer, and that's when the templates will be created for those. I usually do those the night before I make the video. I'm gonna move that down just a little bit because I want it all inside here. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna double pop these so that they're really sticking out. So I'm gonna do one and then add another foam square on top of it. This is great if you don't really need to have a ton. This enables you not to have a ton of different thicknesses of foam tape. You just use 2 pieces. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing here. That right there, like that. I actually forgot to take the liner off of that one. Okay, so now let's see how this is going to look. Oh, that's going to be so pretty. So you've got, it's very shadow boxy, like a collector's box where things are still 3-dimensional on the inside, but the whole thing is still bigger on the outside. And of course, you can also turn these into shaker cards if you wanted to put acetate onto this part too. All right, now let's cut a bigger piece of acetate for the greeting. So I'm going to cut this to be a 1/2 inch. And we'll see how that looks. I'm also going to trim it down just a little bit. It doesn't need to be quite so long. And then depending on where we want to put that, we have to decide where we want to put our greetings. So I'm thinking that we would put our greeting here, like this. Here. So that will tell me that I need to put this right about there. Okay, so I'm going to, I mean, you could do this a lot of different ways. You could just put a piece of Scotch tape there if you want. Just tape it down. You could put glue. Glue is probably good. Or you can do tape runner if you want. So maybe I'll just do some tape runner here. Put some tape runner right there. And pop that in place. And then some tape runner over here. And pop that in place. So now we've got that kind of, I got a little glue on there, but you won't see that once I put the greeting on top. But it's very invisible until you hit it in the light, then you can see it. But we can put the greeting right on there. And it'll appear like it's floating a little bit. So let's go ahead and just use some tape runner for this. So we'll put that right here. And then we'll add this right under it. Okay, so we'll add a little tape runner to this. Glue would be easier, but also glue is a little runny, and if you slip and you get it on the acetate, you're going to see it. So with this, I feel like I have a little bit better control. Okay, so now that greeting is just floating in outer space, right? Now, we're going to go ahead and attach one side to the card front with glue right here. And again, you don't need a ton. And I like doing them one side at a time. So we'll line that up right up against the edge of the card, and then we'll wiggle that into place against the bottom edge, and we'll get good contact with that. And now we'll do the other side. I like to go right to the edge just to make sure it doesn't peel up. So that's two different ways, because the first way you used the same panel front to back, the same scored panel front to back. And this one you only needed one panel, just on the front. There we go. And we could add some embellishments in there if you wanted. But once that is, see, and it's standing up. And then if you look at it on the shelf here, you can see it's standing up. It's got that nice little shadow box. It almost looks like a little bit of a bevel, which is kind of cool. It's got a little rounded, it's got a little bit of a roundedness to it. And so that is the second way, but you could still write on the inside, which I love. I love being able to write on the inside. All right, so let's see if I can just, there we go. Okay, so we've got this one, which will stand up by itself on the shelf, and this one, which has that card base. And then you did see me add a card base to this if you wanted to have that extra, that extra space on the inside to write. So there we go. There's our 2 cards for today. I know it took a long time to make them. We've been on for 2 hours, but I think it was worth it because there were a lot of other tips and tricks in there that I think really helped make a difference. I might add a few little embellishments on there off screen, and then I'll take a picture of this card. And also, I wanted to let you know that if you wanted to, and I don't think I have any pieces, but just as an example, this is from a completely different set. But if you wanted to, you could also add some more pieces on the outside. So, you could have what you have here, and then if you wanted to add more flowers, you could add some on the outside of this kind of coming in to kind of finish it off a little bit more. So you still have the shadow box look, but you would have things on the inside and the outside. All right, so what do you think there, Tom?
Spectacular.
Yeah? Do you have a
Yes.
favorite? I know this is your favorite.
Yeah, that's where, I could look at that all day.
I know. All right, so Tom, we're going to give away a $15 gift card to one lucky chatter out there in the crowd. And then if you like this video, and we certainly hope that you have, if you wouldn't mind giving it a thumbs up, that would be super helpful. Oh, that's me, right? I gotta push the buttons. Give it a thumbs up, and then if you're new here and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button and all notifications so you never miss another video. All right, and then if you're not a member of our Facebook group, we'd love to have you over there. The name of our Facebook group is Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. It's got 51,000 members, and we would love to have you over there too. Now, I'm sure many of our members will make these similar cards to this using other Gina K Designs products, and they'll share their projects over there, and you'll want to see those. So make sure you come on over and join us. We would love to have you in the group. And then a big shout out to Brianne Loveland. Brianne, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. But if you missed any of Brianne's links or you want to get the kit, make sure you head over to our website at ginakdesigns.com, and you'll see everything that I used in today's video. All right, Tom. So, are you ready to pick a winner?
Ready.
All right, you tell me when.
We're going to let her rip. Here we go. Today's winner is Stacy Rivera, 475.
Yay,
Stacy Rivera.
Congratulations, Stacy. You are our winner. I can't hear the clapping, so it might stop abruptly. I don't know. But Stacy, all you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and we will get that out to you. Well, everybody have a fantastic weekend. I hope you do something fun to celebrate America's 250th. And if you are somewhere outside of the United States, I hope you have beautiful weather and that you just have a wonderful summer or winter, depending on where you are, weekend crafting and enjoying some downtime. And Tom and I will be back next Tuesday night with another Stampin' Chat Live. Until then, everybody, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.